Hi, everyone. Welcome to Special Presentation with Mike and Ethan. Or,
Alf will not be seen tonight.
Oy Vey, it's still Toy Nay. Right
Still,
now, still, yeah, can you believe that a month lasts more than 2 weeks?
wow.
Ugh,
Oh boy, every month lasts 1,000 years these days.
it
Um,
sure fucking does. Ugh.
what have we got in the toy box, in the magic toy box this week?
Let's talk about the toy not the toy fad. Fad maybe doesn't seem like the right word. Motif, because it never really went away, but there was a huge motif in the late 80s for gross out toys.
Yeah,
And it's a different kind of gross out than you might be thinking. I mean, like, I grew up with, I'm a dedicated Ren and Stimpy fan, but that was a different kind of gross out. This is more like a sort of like yucky cafeteria food style gross out.
yeah. This was before the glass ceiling had broken on farts.
Yes,
Like
you
I think.
couldn't do fart jokes, but you could do jokes about stepping in cow patties.
Yes. Oh, that which actually is kind of surprising to me. I did not think they could get away with that, but
Yeah.
they did. They went there. Now, because we are talking about not just one, but two things that involve mad balls,
Yes,
and
right. Mad balls, which
and
you as you if you're in your 40s, actually, I shouldn't say that because Mad Balls kind of never really went away. You might have grown up with them if you're even in your 20s.
mm, um, I are they just a thing you get out of vending machines now? I assume.
I don't know. I think they're just kind of like stickers at this point. I haven't really looked into recent Mad Balls stuff, but they were making new Mad Balls cartoons for YouTube as recently as 2017.
Wow. So I guess yeah, the Mad Balls have lasting popularity, which
Yep.
is kind of surprises me. But
I guess Mad Balls is waiting for its own Lauren Faust to push it to superstardom.
boy, I can't wait for Mad Balls. Friendship is magic.
Friendship is madness. That would
Mad
be
friendship is
fantastic.
madness. You know what? Someone should do something with that. That's
Yes.
pretty good. So Mad Balls. The Mad Balls. So first of
Meet the
all,
Mad Balls.
this was from the late 80s. Like we said, there was a big fad for the gross out toys. You may
Yeah.
remember things like this would be termed too gross. Like a big stamp would come in and stamp the TV and be like, nope. Because this was this big fad was kind of like the idea of like, whoa, your parents aren't going to like this. But apparently not enough to prevent you from buying it.
Of course, they did that with everything. I remember seeing ads like that were like, too cool for your parents for like, water slides and shit.
Yeah, and like fruit by the foot for you, not them. Or like, can your parents tell you why? Do your parents, your dad with the yeah and the yee, does he know why kids like cinnamon toast crunch? And like stuff like that. Like this
Is
idea,
it
like
because it's crunchy, toasty cinnamon? No, you idiot! Wait, actually, yes.
yeah, it's just like I remember like that was a thing in the 80s and into the 90s, just like your parents and adults are so uncool, not like you. And at the time I remember kind of being like, yeah, whatever. This doesn't
Yeah.
speak to me because like I know like I'm too smart for advertising, so I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to trick me and like to buying shit, but like I guess now as an adult, it's weird seeing it from the other side because now I'm just like, that's right, kids, but I'm one of the cool ones. Look at me.
Yeah.
I totally would play with a mad ball because I'm cool. Not like I'm not just a regular mom. I'm a cool mom. But anyway, that was a big fad. Mad Balls kind of rode that wave. Last week we looked at My Pet Monster, which I think sort of tapped into that. It wasn't explicitly gross, but like
No,
I,
no.
I
I
think
mean, if they leaned into that and made it my pet gross monster, and give it like a running nose and stuff, you
yeah.
know,
Like I feel like the appearance of the monster with the teeth and the weird kind of bulbous nose were meant to kind of invoke that feeling. Kids like, oh yeah, this is too gross for my parents or something, but they never really like leaned into it. It just was,
Nah.
they left that for your interpretation, I guess. Mad Balls though is very on the nose about its grossness. So what are Mad Balls? They're balls, right?
Yeah, they're literally balls. That's kind of the issue with trying to write a narrative about them, is because it's not. I mean, with a video game, you have built-in characters, but the Mad Balls are not characters; they are toys.
Yes.
And I mean, you are. I mean, they're very different. None of them are. They have the same kind of general aesthetic, but none of them really share a theme. I
No.
mean, do you have a favorite?
I mean, not really. I wasn't really into the Mad Balls as a kid. I wouldn't be able to tell them apart. I think probably, let me see. I guess I'd have to go with the one that's an eye, just
Yeah, me
because,
too.
you know.
Oculus Orbis, always my favorite.
Yeah.
I really like the name too, but I liked eyeball monsters in general. My favorite He-Man figure was Mantenna, the one whose eyeballs could pop out.
Oh yeah, I liked him because he was funny. But
Yeah.
actually, he's on She-Ra.
Oh.
Get it right.
No, he is a Masters of the Universe figure that was advertised on She-Ra because there was no third season of He-Man.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll give you this one. But
Yes.
okay. So the Mad Balls. Apparently there were a bunch of original Mad Balls, and
Yes, there was interestingly, in the first of the two things that we watched, all of the original ones are portrayed as heroic, and the second wave are considered villains.
yeah, which is interesting because I guess it makes sense. They needed some villains.
Yeah.
They also added a Mad Ball that you could not buy. I think because I guess they needed a girl. They needed a girl
Yeah.
Mad Ball, and
They added a new Mad Ball with a huge bouffant hairstyle named Freakella.
yes, I think if you could, like you said, the only real connection between all the Mad Balls is that they're gross.
Yeah.
But I guess if you had to come up with a theme for them, I would say they're kind of like if you just had Rat Fink draw Universal monsters. It's kind of
Yeah, I think all of them sort of, they all sort of can be likened to one or the other Universal monsters. We have Hornhead, the one-eyed Cyclops, who really he looks less like a Universal monster and more like something that Ray Harryhausen would make.
Yeah, he totally looks like something from Seventh Voyage of Sinbad.
Yeah.
I think he actually might be. I don't know. But yeah, and then
We've got a Cyclops, a Frankenstein monster, and a mummy, and I guess a zombie. I mean, I'm not sure what. The character whose name got changed. His name was originally Crackhead, and then they found out what it meant.
Oops.
Yeah. So in the cartoon, he's called Bash Brain, which is that feels like struggling, honestly.
Yeah, I will say that I of all the Mad Balls, he's the one that I'm the most surprised they got away with, because he really is it's done in a stylized cartoon way, like limited animation, so it's easy to really overlook what is the concept of the character, which is that his head is open and the flesh kind of peeled back to reveal the brain. And
he kind of looks like a more child-friendly version of that one shot from Uzumaki of the girl with her eyeball rolling down into the vortex at the center of her head.
Yeah, and that's the thing is whenever I saw him on screen, it kind of just washed over me, and I would have to stop and really think about wait a second, literally his those red lines on his head are supposed to be the flesh kind of rolled down so that we can see his brain with one eye kind of popping up over the flip. So it's actually pretty gross if you think about it, but you usually don't. The other ones we have, I think. Well, actually, it's interesting that this Mad Balls does break with tradition by having two girl characters, which is kind of interesting.
We also have Dust Brain, the mummy, who was not who was not gendered in the toy line, but is a female character usually called Dusty in the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, which kind of makes me wonder. It's like, oh, why did they have to add Freakella? They already had a girl. I mean, and I know
Like
that
they had two girls. Hey,
they
wow,
they
that's
really
rare.
they really wanted to pass the Bechdel test. Actually, I don't think they do, because I do not think Dusty and Freakella actually talk to each other in this.
No.
But yeah, they both kind of just like are like, typical girl characters. Girl.
I think Dusty has a little more personality in that she's kind of the brainiac,
Yeah.
which is weird because she's not the one with an exposed brain.
No. Freakella is the very much just the girl, the one
Yes.
who, but she's a strong, independent woman, so she can
Yes.
take care of herself.
She's
Dusty.
really has a problem with people pointing out that she has hair.
Oh yeah,
Shave
she
it
doesn't like
off!
that. She does not like that. She doesn't like and pointing out that she's got a mop head. The other thing, so Dusty, I don't know how, I was convinced in watching this that was the voice of Oblina from Real Monsters, but it isn't.
No. Oh, who is it?
Someone else. It's I believe
Jerry Craden.
Yes, she's got a long and storied history in animation and voice acting. She did Strawberry Shortcake among other characters, but she was not Oblina. So
Okay. Now this is an all Canadian cast. So unsurprisingly, once again, Alison Cord is here.
yep. Who she play?
Oh, she is the human sister.
Gotcha. Oh, okay. We also have John Stalker, who played Ankilo on Dinosaurs and Beastly in Care Bears. He plays a couple characters, and you'll recognize his voice when you hear it.
Yes, you'll recognize. I recognize John Stalker, of course, as the voice of Toad from the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
You would. I think he does Skullface, who is the coward character, and a couple others too.
Yes.
Now we also have, let's see, I guess Screamin' Mimi is our main guy. He's the
Yeah, I think he's kind of the face of Mad Balls in the same way that, like, Adam Baum is the face of Garbage Pail Kids. Another example of the Neon Slime era.
Yes, yeah.
Although Garbage Pail Kids was not afraid to get, legitimately gory and sometimes body horror-y.
Yeah. As a child, I did not like Garbage Pail Kids. I couldn't look at that stuff. It made me, it was like, oh, I need an adult. I don't like this. But I also had the same reaction to Mad Balls at the time.
Yes.
Now, Mad Balls, I think, yeah, so Screaming Mimi's kind of the face of it, I guess, because he's the least gross. He's just a yelling baseball with a big tongue. And he's
the only one who's literally a ball.
That's
the
true.
Others are kind of more like, disembodied heads.
Yeah. So I guess he communicated the concept of a mad ball, the best of all the mad balls. And let's see, there's Slavulus, who's the kind of a zombie type character. He's got like the hanging eye thing that's very popular at this time as well.
I mean the hanging eyeball was, and it was never very accurate, but that's probably good because people probably don't want to know what an actual hanging eyeball looks like.
Yeah, it's probably not fun to see. And then you got, let's see, who else is there? We haven't mentioned Arg, who is kind of he's like a Frankenstein
kind of there,
thing.
Honestly.
Yeah, he's blue. He's got stitches and one eye, I think. Or,
I mean, how default of a name is that? Arg?
Yeah, they were not really trying with that one. He's kind of got like. He again has a voice that you have heard in like lots of cartoons. He's very Canadian. He's basically the Canadian voice actor doing a surfer dude impression.
Yeah, kind of a surfer dude, but with a little bit of George Harrison.
Yeah, and you've heard this voice before. If you've watched anything from the 80s or 90s, you've heard him. And then I think, let's see, was Bash Brain in the Escape from Orb? I don't remember. I don't
No,
think
he
I saw him.
didn't really appear in that. He became, but he was made a more major character in the second one.
He
The
was.
second one just goes in such a completely different direction that you would never predict.
Yeah. The other thing I noticed is Oculus Orbis does appear in Escape from Orb, but I don't think he escapes from Orb. I think they leave him
No,
behind. So
yeah, they do leave him behind. I was like, no, he's my favorite. I
that's
was glad he got more push and gross jokes.
yes. Oh, did we even mention? Because yeah, we mentioned that there's two things we looked at with Mad Balls. One was the original Mad Ball straight to video movie Escape from Orb, 1986, and the second one
Yes,
was gross jokes from Mad Balls, or what was it?
gross jokes. Yes, they seem to have made two simultaneous pilots, whereas the first one is almost like a shitty version of Transformers, where they come from another planet and become a rock band on Earth. And
Yeah, yeah. It's I actually, do you know anything about the toy Mad Balls? Do they have a story? Like, if you bought a Mad Ball, did it have like a little thing on the back, like, you cut out that has a, like the GI Joes did, where it told you the background of the thing? Because I
no, not at all. Like I said, they were just balls, and
okay,
it seems the whole concept of a Mad Balls cartoon seems kind of surplus to requirements, because I feel
yes,
like we have all these different Mad Balls, but now they're just being, but because they're uh it's there's a difference between a game and a toy. In a
yeah,
video game, you have good guys and bad guys. You can translate it to a narrative 1-to-1. But a
right,
toy, you don't actually have to do anything specific with. Scream and Mimi can be a character, or you can be an actual ball that you just toss back and forth. And
yeah.
you can use them. You can make him a good guy or a bad guy depending on what you want. So it feels strange to actually nail down roles for them in this way, because
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like I
well,
feel like for that reason, I think the second one, which abandons the first pilot's premise entirely, and basically makes them players in something like the Muppet Show. I
um,
think that's a little better of an idea, although I don't know if it's necessarily a better execution.
so I really enjoyed the Mad Balls Escape from Orb, but I would agree there's no reason that this should be a Mad Balls plot. It feels like this would probably be better if it was not Mad Balls, because the basic idea being that, like, there's another planet which is run by a totalitarian fascist who hates music and outlaws it, and the Mad Balls are in a band, so they just want to rock, and that's a lot of that. That is an interesting and strange bit of lore for the Mad Balls. That is not where I would have gone if you tasked me with writing a Mad Balls, movie. Um, it's kind of the
I'm quite curious what you would do if you were tasked with writing a Mad Balls movie.
I mean, I don't know. My initial thought would be like, okay, look, I would just think like they're all kind of monster related, right? So I would be like, okay, you make it kind of like, the 13 Ghosts of Scooby Doo, where these kids, for whatever reason, they open the ancient like pyramid, and they discover like the dust brain, the mummy, and then they're like, cursed, you have to find the 12 cursed Mad Balls, and each one is in a different location. There's like one in the swamp, who's like the zombie one, and there's going to be one in like, I don't know, one in the baseball stadium, who's the baseball one. You know what I mean? Like, and then
Yes.
it's the
And
adventure.
one in your own head. You have to sacrifice your own eyeball for the last one. Yeah, I'm into this.
Yeah, I feel like there could be a lot done with this concept. And but as what they did instead, they decided to make basically the plot of that Aerosmith video game, except with Mad Balls. Uh, and so the Mad Balls, they want to rock, and they can't rock on the planet Orb because they are oppressed by what's his name,
Wolf
the
breath.
Wolf
Yes.
Breath. Thank you. Who dresses like you. He has the whole little like black, Gestapo uniform and the hat and
Yes.
everything. They're not shy about like where they're drawing their influences for this, dystopian
Yeah.
government. Um,
Though to be fair, when I first watched it, I was like, "Oh, he's like a South American generalissimo."
that's true. Yeah, actually, you're probably correct. There's probably a little bit of that in there too. I mean, it was the '80s, so this
So
is
yeah, they were probably thinking of more of Noriega than Hitler.
that's
But
true. Yeah, yeah. I mean, some kids today would probably be like, that didn't age well. It's like, well, at least it's not car bombistan. So, it's your joke. Ask your parents. But the Madballs, they want to rock and they can't rock on Orb. So they come to Earth where we live in order to rock here. And so that's the story of the Madballs. And I think that because Wolf Breath, he's a bad dude. He outlaws music. Nobody is allowed to have music. Nobody's allowed to bounce around or have fun.
no one's
And
allowed to hum.
yeah, no one's allowed to hum. Instead, you have to build monuments to him, and they're all they're all carrying around these big blocks like they're slaves in ancient Egypt, building monuments to the glory of Wolf Breath. And you laugh now, but like that's where we're all going to be in a year when
Yeah,
when Trump declares music is an abomination. Which,
yeah. When music undergoes a 200% tariff.
my God, you know what? Do you at this point? I would not be surprised if like Trump tried to ban rock and roll. Like we're really in that kind of like that Turkmenbashi territory at this point. So he's the mad god Nuggin or something. But right now rock and roll is still legal in America.
Yes.
Um, and what I do like about this Madballs is I feel like this kind of plot where like the man hates rock and roll and these but kids just want to have fun and they're gonna win through the power of rock music. I feel like this was a more common plot line in a previous era, and
Yeah, I think
it's
so.
it's very like when I see it, it's very much like like oh, it's like a very much a nostalgia thing for me. It's like seeing a factory pomo or a Global Village coffee house. Um, so I have a that's why I was kind of on board with this whole thing, even though it's a very strange idea for the mad to stick the mad balls into it.
Yeah,
Um,
there's no real. It's this whole idea of making them aliens from the planet Orb completely disregards all of their individual themes. So I guess Dust Brain isn't literally a mummy, but she does like lose her wrappings at certain points.
yeah, but they're cowards. They never do the thing where you get to see her without her wrappings.
Yeah, I
Uh,
guess she just never runs out of it. It's like, actually, there's a point where she has to run around with a bunch of her wrappings in her hands, and it's a ball almost as big as she is, and I really wanted like Screaming Mimi or someone to be like, "Oh, Dusty, you didn't even tell us. You weren't even showing."
I feel like, it really says a lot when a cartoon has a mummy unravel, whether the mummy underneath is a skeleton or a ghost, and they don't answer that question with Dusty here. So I'm
No,
kind of annoyed about that.
the
Um,
mummy underneath is a smaller mummy.
apparently so. They really don't do much with these, the individual Mad Balls theming. Um,
No.
but
Yeah, the only real acknowledgement of any of their specific their physicality is the fact that Oculus Orbis doesn't speak. He just sort of makes squeaking noises.
yeah, this whole yeah, and he has a body. Like occasionally, the Mad
They
Balls
all
have
kind of
bodies.
grow bodies when it's needed, but a lot of the times, you know, they are literal balls a lot less frequently than you would think.
Yeah, they can bounce, but they very often just grow legs and walk around. And but most of the Mad Balls are in a band. I think they're called the Mad Balls, and
Yes.
except for Slavulus and Arg, they are for unrelated reasons just building a rocket ship.
Yes. but they're also groupies.
Yes. And that does lead to my favorite part where they meet the Mad Balls, and Mad Balls like, do you have a way to get off this planet? They're like, yes, we do. How convenient. So yeah, they are groupies of the Mad Balls, and the Mad Balls.
To be fair, I have never had, as much as I've thought about leaving America, I have never thought about leaving the planet.
You're just not thinking big enough.
Yeah, I guess not. Shit.
Where
can we find a planet where we can all live and party and rock?
Oh man, well, first of all, here's what we need to do. We need to found a band. We need to found a band, and that way, like when the shit starts going down, and all of the Trump sends his goons after us, we can just say to our groupies, "Hey, you got a way to get off this planet?" And surely, among them, someone will have been building a rocket ship out of stuff they found in the trash, and then we'll just we'll go into space, the only place uncorrupted by capitalism.
Yeah. And then we'll finally find our way to the transmission that the Smashing Pumpkins have been doing for all these years. But when we arrive, they'll all be old.
Then they'll be the
Rotten Pumpkins.
Yeah, I was like, well, I can't think of what we call some joke with old pumpkins, but yeah.
Blow away into pumpkin spice.
Yeah. So the Mad Balls, they come to Earth, and luckily, because they find out that Earth, I guess they get transmissions from Earth about like how Earth just rocks. Everyone rocks on Earth, so of course they come to Earth. And it just so happens that there is a concert happening on Earth, run by these two children. And
are they children? They sure seem to be children.
They look like rejects from the Burger King Kids Club, so I'm pretty sure they're children.
Why are these children running a concert?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, I guess it makes sense. I guess when you realize the bands that they're going to have on is called the Cartoons, I'm like, they must be like the Wiggles or something, or Raffi. This is like a children's concert, right?
No,
but
honestly, how is there not actually a band called the Cartoons?
That's a good point, but you'd have to spell it, a U with a U,
there probably is one called the Cartoons with a U. I wasn't even thinking of that.
Yeah.
Either way, if you spell it the regular way, okay, now we're halfway to our plan already, because now we have a band. We're the Cartoons, and we need to get fans who will build us a rocket ship off of Earth.
Yes. All right. So now we just have to make some music as the Cartoons. We'll be like, rock, rock, rock. I like to rock, 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 rock
with the rock,
rock with the rock and roll. Well, the Mad Balls, when they arrive on Earth and they arrive in the middle of this concert, luckily the Cartoons have been given the wrong address, so they went to Alaska instead of the concert, and they've decided not to come back. They're just going to live there from now on. But the Mad Balls arrive, and luckily they do rock, so they can just rock out, and they put on a concert. And
they sing their one song, which is Great Balls of Fire, which I think we heard 4 times over the course of this.
Yeah. I guess it's appropriate because they are balls,
Yes.
So there you go.
How many other songs? I mean, there's probably a lot of songs about balls, but
yeah, I'm gonna put my balls in it. Yeah, I don't know. Every time I just kept thinking about like that Futurama episode where they go to fight the balls on that one planet.
We demand bouncing, followed by rolling, followed by bouncing of the third type.
There was we in our people have a story of a ball who like bounced 5 meters, then 3 meters, then 5 meters again. Yeah, our people have a similar story, I think.
We make ourselves clear.
Well, the Mad Balls, they do Great Balls of Fire because this, again, it's from 1986, and everybody loved the 1950s. It was really big. So
once again, the 50s fad that started with Happy Days. It continued for over a decade.
Yep. I guess it's funny because now that I am an adult, I am the age that the boomers were in the 80s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I understand this whole thing where it's like, oh, I get it. This was because all the people making the cartoons were old and this were their references, 50s shit. And the
Yeah.
people they're kind of making it for on the sly are your parents who would also recognize all this 50s shit. So they were like, no, Buzz Dixon, you can't do an MC Escher Cubert. We're going to do Happy Days Cubert. So,
Oh, God, what could have been?
yeah, for real. For real.
I mean, not even, you don't even need Cubert. That could have been Pac-Man.
Yeah. But no, I believe.
But no, Pac-Man is basically the Flintstones, but they eat each other.
Yeah, which also
That
is
would have been an interesting take on the Flintstones.
The Flintstones is always now. The Flintstones is an interesting thing because they're originally a show from the 60s.
Yes.
So because they're from the 60s, all the people who made the Flintstones were like, probably from the 40s, right? So
Yes.
so it's always funny watching the Flintstones, which because from the 60s, I associate it with my parents, right? But
Yeah.
they weren't the age of the people who made it; they're the age of the children at the time. So it's funny watching the Flintstones, how much they fucking hate the Beatles,
That's hilarious.
It is so funny. Like, they just have this vitriol for the Beatles that, like, seems so bizarre when you watch it today. When it's like, oh, the Beatles, you mean that group that is universally acknowledged as, like, one of the greatest rock bands of all time? Yeah, okay. I guess
you hate the Beatles? What are you, Gen Z?
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like, oh, that terrible bug music, which when I was a child watching the Flintstones in the 80s, I thought the bug music was like the name of some sort of genre of music that no longer existed. Because they would play it, and whenever you heard bug music on the Flintstones, it was just this cacophony. So I kind of associated it with, like, I thought it was music. I don't know how to describe this, but do you ever watch Tom and Jerry? And there's that mouse who sometimes visits Jerry, like this old Texas mouse with a mustache.
Oh, the one who plays Froggy Goes a Courtin'?
That's it. And he always the way he sings Froggy Goes a Courtin', that's what the bug music on the Flintstones always sounded like to me. So I kind of assumed it was some sort of like weird old timey like folk music that just, didn't sounded really tinny. I didn't realize they were trying to parody the Beatles. Anyway, that's why in the 80s everything is 50s, right?
Now I want to hear Paul McCartney singing that. The Froggy went a-courtin' and he did right. Crambo.
I think he would be down for that. Didn't he did that whole Rupert the Bear like spies on that like frog concert that he's not supposed to see, It's like Rupert sees things that man was not meant to see. He saw the Forbidden Frog.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but this sounds amazing.
Oh, you've never seen Rupert sees the Forbidden Frog concert?
No, but you know what Rupert is? No,
he's a bear, isn't he?
He's a comic strip.
Oh, well, I guess we can do this at some point.
Now, don't spoil it for me. We might be doing an episode about it.
About Rupert? Well, you're going to be sorely disappointed, but we will do, maybe we'll do, once we're done with Oy Vey, Toy May, we will investigate Rupert the Bear, the Forbidden Frog concert. Why not?
I'm imagining something like when Akira Kurosawa saw the foxes getting married, and then said he had to kill himself.
Oh, is that a thing that really happened?
Not in real life. No, that was the first chapter of the movie Kurosawa's Dreams.
Oh, wait, who's Akira Kurosawa?
The director, the one who gave us things like The Seven Samurai and Rashomon.
Oh, see, I don't know anything about cinema. When you were saying that, I was like, I was just thinking like, oh, clearly this must be some person from like the Tokugawa shogunate or something. Clearly some figure from history, or possibly an anime man. I'm not really sure. I'm
There
extremely
is some overlap there, but
yeah, yeah.
no. Kurosawa was one of the most respected directors of all time, and I grew up with one of his last movies, which is a bunch of short things that are either based on dreams he had, or sometimes they're just a short film in the style of a dream. And the first one is apparently a dream he had as a kid, where he witnessed foxes getting married, and then was forbidden from his home because he had to slit his own belly.
Wow. Well, you know what? You shouldn't be peeping, you know?
Yeah, for real.
Man. Well, you know, that's I think that's it's an interesting motif, you know, going back to the what peeping on Diana in the Glen or whatever and all that
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
thing.
You know,
Um
do not see things that you were not meant to see.
yeah, it's bad. It's word for the wise. Don't look at things you ain't supposed to look at, you know, all
Yeah, like the
that.
sun.
Yeah,
When your
don't
parents
do
tell
it.
you not to look at the sun, that they mean it.
Yeah. Don't be like Donald Trump.
He looks at the sun.
Yes. Do you remember this? You don't remember when he looked at the sun?
He looked at the what, like during an eclipse or something?
Yeah, it
Or-
was the eclipse, and everyone was like, "Yeah, don't look at the sun." And he's like, "Where?" And he just looks at it, and it's like, "How is this man still alive?" You know, he's like Mr. Bean.
you know, God looks out for drunks and small children.
For
Donald
real,
Trump is God's favorite drunk child.
he really is. Oh man. Okay. Anyway, yeah, this is gonna be, you know, this is such gonna be such a weird artifact in a year or two. You know,
It is,
it's
yeah.
like when people like look at like 1920 stuff where like Charlie Chaplin is like imitating Hitler, and it's like, oh, it's so funny. It's like, oh, that aged well. I guess it aged well because you know it's good to make fun of Hitler, but you know
Yes.
it's also kind of
It'd be
weird.
better to make fun of Hitler to his face. But
Yeah, it's just
you
kind
don't
of
have that
weird.
option anymore.
Yeah, it was just the idea that like, oh, he was a figure of fun. We all thought he was very funny, you know, because he was such a funny guy.
You know,
Okay,
and now people are like, you know, what? Stop making fun of Hitler. What did that poor man ever do to you?
yeah, yeah, you know, you hear that a lot from the kids, and it's like, you know, I think you need to.
Stop making fun of our Tumblr sexy man.
I think, oh yeah, he's our favorite Wooby, hipster Hitler. You remember hipster Hitler?
Hitler.
Yeah, but anyway, man, well, yeah, I guess we just wait for the Hakuna Miku chest binder Hitler or whatever.
Hakuna Miku.
That's the name of the? Is that
I
not
think
the
you
name?
got I think you got Hakuna Matata confused with Hatsune Miku. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I know one of them is an anime character who sings, and one of them is the greatest Japanese film director of all time. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm sorry. Wow, we actually had talked about Mad Balls for quite a while before we got derailed this week.
Yes.
But
Well, I mean, appropriately enough, because you know, after Mad Ball's escape from Orb happens, Mad Balls itself gets completely derailed.
yeah, that's true. Because then they kind of fly around in space for a little while. Funny stuff happens. I guess they
Yeah.
jettison a bathtub.
Yeah, they go past a planet that is like a jungle gym, and I was like, oh, cool. I want Mario to go there.
Yep. They do have some space shenanigans. All the second generation Mad Balls are crowded together in the pursuing ship, and
Yeah, none of them really get any personality, which is disappointing.
No.
I was really hoping to find out get some personality from Fist Face.
I guess we're lucky that a couple of the main Mad Balls have personalities. I mean, that's
Yeah.
good, considering we could be like, you know, ponies where you just get like 18,000 interchangeable ponies.
You know, to be fair, it's a lot easier to tell the Mad Balls apart than the ponies, and probably a lot of Transformers too.
That's true. Also,
Although I think Arg and Slobulus are similar enough that it was smart to make them a sort of duo.
yeah, I feel like at least the thing with Mad Balls is they were fewer of them, so you only have to
Yeah.
keep, you know, they were like the show people only had to like come up with personalities for like 8, as opposed to like GI Joe or Transformers or My Little Pony, where it's like there's 8,000 of them. we
Yeah.
You will never have 2 consecutive episodes with the same cast. But anyway, so the Mad Balls, they come to Earth. What's his name? Rat Breath follows them. Wolf Breath,
Yeah.
sorry.
Roll breath, yes.
He follows
How dare
them.
you?
Yeah,
Oh,
oops.
what was his name? Mophead?
It's that's right. He calls Freakella Mophead, and she uses the power of her like freaking out to blow all the bad balls. That's what they call the bad mad balls. They're the bad balls,
Yes.
you know.
So that's like the name of their political party. So they're
Yeah.
like they're specifically into being bad.
They're the
I
big
mean-
bad. Yeah.
I mean, I used to think that was unrealistic. Now I'm not so sure.
I mean, look, we got if we're gonna start a political party to take over the world and outlaw fun, we're gonna call ourselves the Bad Balls. Yeah, you know what though? That at this point, oh shit, I guess that kind of exists now, considering that like the guy that Elon Musk has tapped to like shut down the government is just named Big Balls.
Oh my god, shit. He shakes
So-
my nerves and he rattles my brains.
Yeah, it makes everything go insane.
Yeah.
So, big balls of fire, great big
Yeah.
fucking balls of fire. Anyway, the
Yeah,
bad
if I
balls.
see big balls, I'm gonna fire.
Yeah. Oh. Anyway, so the bad balls, get blown back into their ship, and Slobular also gets blown onto the top of the ship, and he lights a fuse that causes the ship to blow into space again. Anyway,
Yeah, he like
that's
hot
it.
wires it. So I mean,
Yeah.
so these guys are like technological geniuses unless they're paying attention to what they're doing, I guess. So they have a sort of centipede's dilemma thing going on.
Yeah, they're but they do get rid.
Centipede's dilemma would be a good mad ball, like a face with a centipede crawling in and out of all the orifices.
Is that like is Centipede's Dilemma a thing? Is that like a logical fallacy, or what is that?
Yeah, the centipede's dilemma, it comes from the idea that, you can only do something if you're not actually, thinking about it. There's a poem that goes something like, it's like, a centipede was happy quite until a frog in fun said, "Pray, which leg comes after which?" This raised her doubts to such a pitch, she fell exhausted in the ditch, not knowing how to run.
Ah, yes. So Centipede's Dilemma. I like it because it sounds like it sounds like a logic puzzle that should like scare Elon Musk.
Yeah. It's like it's sort of like the Raja whose magic carpet would only work if he didn't think of the word elephant. How do you not think of the word elephant?
Yeah, that's a pickle. Does that have a name?
I don't know. I've only heard that mentioned kind of in context with the centipede's dilemma. So
Oh, okay.
I haven't heard-
It is a Centipede's Dilemma.
Yes.
Anyway, so the Mad Balls, they blast the Bad Balls back into space, and I get the impression that from here on out, the series, if it had happened, would just be the Mad Balls on Earth being a rock band, and
Yeah.
I don't know if the Bad Balls would be like consistently trying to stop them, or would just be like, well, they're on Earth now, who cares? We own Orb,
Yeah.
Or would it be one of those things where like evil cannot abide the existence of good, even on another planet? So would the Bad Balls continuously attempt to stop rock and roll on Earth too?
Yeah, I think they would. I think it's like what you said about dino saucers. Like, the bad balls want to stop the mad balls, and the mad balls want to avoid being stopped by the bad balls.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's Mad Balls versus Bad Balls.
I wonder if they were
is
going to eventually introduce sad balls and glad balls.
yeah, and then they'd all live in Freetown, USA. But so the different balls. Anyway, that's the end of Escape from Orb.
Yes.
I guess so I don't know. It sounds like you're not really sold on this Mad Balls. You don't think it's got the balls to be a series.
I mean, if there had been more episodes, I would have watched them.
Yeah.
But it just seems like one of those things. Like, I can see why they did the other one, because somebody was probably like, we were on the wrong track with this in the first place. It
Yeah.
feels like they made Mad Balls a little too generic. Like they just replaced a bunch of names that they already had written for some other thing.
Yeah, I guess again, like you said, there's no real like pre-existing Madballs lore, and even and for a lot of toys, it's like that. Because obviously when they were making like you know Transformers or My Little
Yeah.
Pony or He-Man or GI Joe, it's like we have a toy, we need to sell it to kids, make something up, and they all created these these very these worlds, right?
Yes.
And very particular, very but they all kind of flow from what they are. Like Transformers, like okay, it makes sense when you watch it that it's giant robots doing it, and it makes sense in My Little Pony, I guess, that ponies would be doing this.
Yes.
And when you watch Mad Balls, it's like I don't really know why Mad Balls would be in a rock and roll band, but
Yeah.
okay.
I always think of a video game review. A
Mm-hmm.
video game review written for Wired magazine by Penn Jillette, where he reviewed the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game for the NES, and his lead-in was, "You just run, jump, and shoot. Why do I need turtles to do this?"
I mean, I guess he's not wrong, but that is also what the turtles do.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not that he didn't like the game. I mean, he said, I'm like the only person on the Wired staff who has a favorite Ninja Turtle. It's Michelangelo, and so just like, I don't know. I'm not sure how in the era of the NES you would make a game that was much more specifically about being a ninja and a turtle and a mutant and a teenager. That's a lot of things to manage there.
yeah. I mean, the Ninja Turtles, they did just kind of run, jump, and shoot on the show. Otherwise,
Yeah.
unless you had them eating pizza, that's really all they were up to, Like, what else are they going to do? They're ninjas. But, yeah, but Penn Jillette, he likes being a contrarian,
Yeah.
That's,
This was in like 1987 or so yeah.
oh, yeah, this was back in the day before he
before he became a libertarian and before he, swore off libertarianism.
They still do that show in Vegas.
Yeah, they do.
It's weird because like Penn's like thin now, so it's very strange. Every time I go there and like to Vegas, they have the big posters, and it's like, it's Teller, and like, why? Who? What? Who? Why is this? Who's this guy?
Teller and some strangely shrunken-looking man.
Yeah.
Actually, he's not quite as thin as he used to be since I've seen him lately. But not to dismiss his incredible efforts in losing weight to eke a few more years out with his daughter. I can't blame him for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to be healthy, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Penn Jillette, he is the man named after a pen. Anyway,
And a razor.
Yeah, I remember he used to have a TV show, and he was they taught me that Santa Claus isn't real. Anyway, Mad Balls. There's a second Mad Balls movie, and this one is a little bit different. This one is what's it called?
It's called Gross Jokes. The jokes aren't really that gross a lot of the time, but they did surprise me a couple of times.
Yeah, the jokes are kind of very Borscht Belt. They're
very Borscht Belt by way of cafeteria humor.
Yeah, you have heard each of these jokes about 100,000 times before, but it's
there's one. The one pun that I hadn't heard before was, "Oh, look, Oculus Orbis hasn't even touched his cornea on the cob."
Oh, yeah. That's they just slipped that one in. That's one of the few jokes that is very specific to the Mad Ball.
Yeah.
The rest are all just kind of like, oh, let's put the Mad Balls in various, situations like a restaurant or a hospital.
It's basically a veterinarian's hospital episode there.
Yeah. They're doing I feel like they were the style of animation is very interesting. It's almost like that Terry Gilliam kind of cutout sometimes.
Yeah, they seem to be animating photos of the actual toys. And
Yeah.
I'm like, one, that's kind of cool, but two, is that legal? Are they allowed to do that?
I mean, I assume that they, license. This was licensed. You
Yeah,
know.
but I mean for like reasons, like with Food Fighters,
Hmm.
they animated the toys, and it looked like the toys were moving by themselves, and then they weren't able to do that afterward because there was a lawsuit.
Oh, y-
So
you know what
that's
I?
why there's aren't stop motion toy commercials anymore in the America.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, you know what I feel like? I feel like part of this is in the 1980s, like a lot of these laws hadn't been settled yet because in the sense that like nobody cared. It wasn't like nowadays where like, here's incoming old man yells at cloud. Nowadays, like everyone's so happy with those lawyers, but in the old days, people didn't think to sue about things. It just hadn't they hadn't figured out that you could sue to make more money. So a lot of times, if you're watching like old films from the 70s and 80s, it's funny because like people like characters will just like wear, especially cheaper movies, they'll just be wearing whatever clothes the actor came to set on that day, and half the time they'll have like copyrighted characters on them.
Oh yeah,
But
I mean, how many times have they pointed out in Mystery Science Theater movies that there's just a big Mickey Mouse poster on the wall? Nobody moved it.
yeah, I mean that was in the day, and I think probably because Disney was like, we're busy making, we're busy making magic or something. We don't have time.
Yeah.
They didn't think, oh, wait a minute, we could sue nursery schools for like an extra, like 2 cents. Let's do it. So a lot of older things, I think they just kind of were like, oh sure, we can totally animate these still photos of Madballs. Why not? Who's you know and if the Madball company came and said you're not allowed to do that, they probably like, what are you talking
Yeah.
about? You said we could do Madballs. But it's a different world nowadays.
I think it helps that it's so clearly, animated cardboard cutouts that, you couldn't mistake it for the real toys.
Yeah. I'm surprised there wasn't a little disclaimer being like, look, the actual Madballs do not dance or tell jokes.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's got a very like you can't do that on television kind of feel to it, I
Yeah.
feel.
I mean, you could rip off a lot worse things than you can't do that on television.
Yeah, yeah. So it's this is probably like like you said, it's a probably a more natural thing to do with the Mad Balls, though I don't know how much potential there's for a series of these because
Yeah.
um, I feel like it would.
Maybe if they made it like, maybe if they made this like a regular thing they do, like the alien cable thing on Rick and Morty. Like they
Oh,
do this like once a season.
gotcha. Yeah, that would make that would probably work. I guess I there's the Mad Balls being just such a weird thing to turn into a series. I guess you could do a lot of different things with them,
Yeah.
as evidenced just by these two. Um,
Yeah. It is very strange to me that neither of these really lean into the idea of, any of the Madballs having any personal lore. Like, there's no explanation for why, a skeleton and a mummy and a Frankenstein and a whatever the hell Freakella is are all hanging out together because they're just balls. I
yeah,
think it's like they're balls that are they even aware that they are shaped like monsters? Maybe that would be the plot of what was happening on Earth, was be like, wait a minute, we're not monsters, we're just balls, aren't
it
we?
it would be funny if they came to Earth and just found out like, oh, by complete coincidence, like, oh yeah, we look like your monsters. I guess it's like if we went to a planet and everyone was scared, and it turns out there's like a whole series of movies that just happen to have like monsters that look like us.
Oh
But
shit. Oh my god. Hey, oh, great costume. You just look just like in Attack of the Ethan Part 2.
yeah, yeah.
I will eat and digest you with my system of mighty organs. Behold.
You know what? I mean, I feel. You know what? I think that this concept might have some legs. But they do. So I guess the Mad Balls tell a bunch of jokes.
Yeah.
They're
Gross jokes.
they're
I would
gross.
say
Some of them,
my
yeah.
favorite. Yeah, my favorite things were the ones that were entirely in stop motion. I liked the poem. That was fun.
Yeah.
And
Um,
I liked the one that was lifestyles of the disgusting and spherical or whatever it was.
yeah. This whole thing, it felt a lot like it felt extremely Beetlejuice. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I feel like, Beetlejuice hadn't gotten started, but, Beetlejuice was made by some of the same people. John Stalker was a voice on Beetlejuice, too. And
Yeah.
Alison Court, of course. So,
Yeah, and so that whole poem just sound the tenor of that poem. It's like, oh, that just sounds like when Beetlejuice does every few episodes when like they do the bit about how like the network is making us do like socially redeeming commentary, and they do something like that poem,
yeah.
right? And Also, it just the voice of, I mean, like you said, there's a lot of Carrier voices because someone doing that poem really sounded like Barry Me Not from Beetlejuice.
Yeah, I was going to say actually, when they do the stop motion parts, it really reminds me of Bury Me Not. It feels like a dry run for the Bury Me Not commercials.
Yeah, yeah. So
For those of
Canada,
you who don't remember, every Beetlejuice episode has a very limited CGI sequence where an announcer called Bury Me Not does a commercial. These were incredibly expensive. They cost $1 million each when they started.
wow, you can see every penny on the screen though.
Yeah, and now I could make one myself on my iPad with nothing else.
Yeah. The funniest part is if you watch them, they cost $1 million each to make, and yet in the entire, I think, 3 seasons of that series, there are
Yeah.
only about like 2 or 3 times when they actually have any bearing on the plot. Like most of the time, they are completely unrelated to anything. They're just like, here's a funny commercial, kids. It cost $1 million, so you better enjoy it. It's not going
Let's
to do.
see. Okay, which one's the Frankentwine? That was a major thing. There was the whole one about the spooky tree.
Right, right.
But yeah, let's see. Party people in a can.
Yeah, there's that one.
Let's
And there was
see.
one where Beetlejuice was doing Sherlock Holmes, and they were selling like clues, and he bought like a clue from them that told him where Doomy was. Um,
Ah, that's
other
right. And the clue was the poster that said "I am a jackass."
Yes, yes. Other than that, I don't remember a whole lot where the commercial actually like was really important in any way. But
Well, there was one and this is like the best episode in the episode "The Wizard of Ooze,"
I wonder why you
where
would think that's the best episode.
yeah, well, it's actually, I mean, for a lot of good reasons, but one of the best things is that Barry Me Not himself is the Wizard of Ooze, and it's the only time he ever interacts with the main characters.
I like the part where Beetlejuice ate all the Beatles.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah. Beatles, I love them. He doesn't say that in the movie.
No, no, he doesn't. No, it's Delia who says, "Kids, I love them."
Yeah. Uh,
He actually borrows a bunch of her lines in the cartoon. She was the one who says he likes it.
oh, yeah. They really bimbified her in the cartoon.
They couldn't get away with having two groups of adults, so they basically merged Delia and what's his name, Charles, with the Maitlands.
That
So,
makes sense. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, why you really don't need the Maitlands in the cartoon series.
yeah.
But
They didn't
anyway,
really. They sure didn't go to any trouble to explain where they went in the second movie.
yeah, I really feel like they should just not have mentioned them at all. Because it's
They found a loophole and moved on. It's like, yeah, can we go into detail about this? Maybe.
yeah, it's like I feel like you've. The funny thing with Beetlejuice is like I feel like you just there's the plot right there, and you're like, no, we're gonna do this other thing. Anyway, they're making Beetlejuice apparently, so there's gonna be a third
Maybe the
one.
Maitlands will be back in that.
They'll be back. I'm sure it'll be great. Make $1 billion.
Yeah, I mean, Beetlejuice was pretty damn good, honestly. Way better than you would think for a sequel from 25 years later.
I mean, I'll say this. It's pretty good for what it is. It's pretty good for what it is. The only problem I have with it is I had to watch it like 18 times.
Yeah.
And by the time, you watch it once or twice and you're like, yeah, this is a pretty decent sequel. It's fun. I like it. It's got the vibe. After the 18th time, you're like, I detect all the cracks and I will pontificate upon them at length. But no, it's fun. It's a fun film. But it's no Mad Balls. Gross jokes with the Mad Balls. I did like the travelogue bit where Dusty
Yeah.
is telling us about her world trip with the Mad Balls, and they go around basically trying to fix monuments and break them more.
Yes.
Um, for
And
example,
and they are met at every border by a wall of guns.
yeah, I actually thought that was really funny because they go to Europe and you see like they're like, oh, everyone came out to meet us, and she has like a wall of like battleships and tanks and soldiers. And I thought the joke was made even funnier by the fact that when they returned to America, they are greeted the same way, which
Yeah.
I thought was very amusing because that's where they're originally from, and America's like no more. It's like it's very in fact it takes on a whole new less funny meaning when you think about it in context of reality, where it's like
Yeah.
just like every American citizen, the Mad Balls are now in danger of being, not allowed back into their home country if they leave the borders.
Yeah.
Um,
Of course, they're from the planet Orb. Does that mean that they're now American citizens?
they did the thing like the end of Mac and Me. you
Oh
know,
man, the Mad Balls all standing up and holding up their hands to abide and protect the Constitution.
man, you know what? I wish we had some Mad Balls to protect the Constitution.
Yeah.
But they
Do
with
you
the
think
power
any
of
of
rock
them got
music.
gold plated like Johnny Five?
I feel like Slobulus would.
Slavius would probably get gold plated, and Arg would be like, "Hey, Slavius, man, I love your Johnny Five reference. Who's Johnny Five?"
That's pretty good banter. Um, I also like that when Dusty does her travelogue, she mentions trying to fix the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and it really reminded me of how much in the '80s cartoons loved referencing the Leaning Tower of Pisa. You know,
Yeah.
like I didn't think about it till now. I was like, yeah, I remember seeing that in cartoons all the time back in the day, and I feel like they don't do that anymore. You don't see it in cartoons nearly as much. Probably because I think the Leaning Tower of Pisa finally fell over, so nobody cares.
No, I don't think it did, but they did have to do some major correction on it because it was getting close to falling over.
Oh, so I think the other thing that they liked in the '80s was like doing a pun on the Leaning Tower of Pizza.
Oh yeah,
That was a
like that Snoopy video game we looked at,
yep. Yeah, oh yeah, I
where
think
he has a giant pile of pizza in front of the Leaning Tower of Pisa, but they're not calling it Leaning Tower of Pizza.
really, really leaving some money on the table there.
For real.
I mean, I've at least the Ninja Turtles did it several
Yeah.
times, I believe, over and
Yeah.
over. Anyway,
It's their equivalent of this garage sale is more like a garbage sale.
oh, I wouldn't want to be that garage sale right now. Boy, would my face be red. All right.
If you were a garage sale, I imagine so. That's got to be really embarrassing. Just being like, oh, I'm so exposed. I'm a helpless little garage sale. Oh, don't buy something from there. Ooh.
It's like, oh no, all my goods are out on the front lawn for everyone to see. How embarrassing. Yeah. This is getting pretty sexy, actually. Oh, I got to put this on AO3.
Yeah. Oh man, can you imagine how hot it would be, to be one of those, to be an open garage, and then the house gets finished and they're like, "Move that bus." And you're like, "Oh no, close the door. I don't want anyone to see how messy my garage is." Oh.
Oh no, you're gonna see all my old paint cans.
Old Patey Can Ned.
Oh boy, I'm getting a little a little hot bothered over here. Oh, this sexy garage sale talk. Ooh, like and the price, and you know what else? The prices are so low. How low? Make me an offer. Just like the price
Welcome
master
to
will
all of our new
decide.
fans from BabsCon.
Yeah, the price master will decide. Oh, anyway, yeah, welcome all our fans from BabsCon who are really big into garage sales, sexy garage sales. I know that you're all loving this after GarageCon 2025. Okay,
GarageCon. Oh well.
it's the
Look,
convention for people who want to fuck a garage.
shit. Let's see if we can do a live show there.
Yeah, or I like to call it a car hole.
Oh, what an ugly American thing to say.
Yeah, the USA. Anyway, is there anything else we should say about mad balls, the balls that are mad?
Um, I want to say that I did not own any Mad Balls as a kid, but the one that I really wanted was Blurt Balls, which was a different company which made things that were similar to Mad Balls, except they could vomit smaller balls.
Oh, like one of those Russian dolls?
Balls.
Oh, okay. So they how did they vomit smaller balls? Like
They're just like you squeeze them and then they pop another one out through vacuum action. My personal favorite was the vampire one who could actually spit his own heart out. Count Heave a Heart.
Oh, I mean, that's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
Oh,
And also, let me see if I can find it here, because another interesting thing about Mad Balls is that although in this cartoon they have kind of substitute bodies, they actually have official bodies that were sold as an alternate version that could pop off the head like a ball. Let me see if I can find those. Not Mad Bull. No. Let's see. Let's see if we can find. Oh, here we go. Okay. Now compare the version of the Mad Balls that we saw in this cartoon to this image of some of them shown in full body for the first time.
all right. Let's take a look at these. Okay, that's very different.
I really like how Oculus Orbis has a sort of a muscle suit thing going on, like a Barker thing.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of appropriate. It looks like he's like made out of optic nerves,
Yeah.
I do think it's funny. So Screamin' Mimi looks like he's wearing a baseball uniform, which is appropriate.
Yeah. I mean, he's a weirdly rotund baseball player. All of them are kind of weirdly rotund, actually.
Yeah, I mean Skullface is especially weird since he seems to be a very fat skeleton.
Yeah.
A
Like
lot of the
Jacques
others.
Lillard.
Yeah, a lot of the others are kind of what you would expect. I do like how they're all labeled good or bad, so that it's canon. The thing we learned in Escape from Orb.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess they had to decide that some of them were officially good or bad, and I like Slobulus is pretty impressive actually, though, with the big open wound with ribs showing.
Yeah, I mean they I guess they were like, look, kids want gross, we're gonna give them gross.
Yeah. I'm disappointed that Wolf Breath doesn't have his full Nazi uniform. He's just more like a sumo wrestler than anything else.
Yeah, I guess they were just like, oh, he's just a wolf guy. He's a wolf man or something. I guess they also had a little like motorcycle that they could catapult stuff with. So
yeah, they could like launch Mad Balls with, and there's a basketball hoop. So I guess if you have two of them, you can. I think, but I might be confusing this with another toy. I think that if you like got a basket, then it would launch whoever was in the cycle out with an ejector seat.
Oh, that's pretty high tech for an 80s toy.
Yeah, so it's like that's a lot of fun, but I guess no one was stopping you from slam dunking.
Yeah, I mean nobody played with their toys properly in those days.
No. Yeah, everyone just nobody actually plays the version of Mousetrap, where you roll a die to add a part. Everyone just puts it together and then plays with it whole.
Yeah, and then you just like, well, we made it work. Okay, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
Never
touching it again.
Yeah, nobody plays the actual game. It's pretty obvious because they put no effort into the actual game.
Nobody plays the version of Operation where you actually get paid for your work, or you pass it off to someone else as a specialist.
No, I didn't realize that you actually did that in the game. I kind of just thought like you. I am kind of fascinated by this ad for the Mad Balls with Bodies, though.
Yeah,
because the something about the build of the Mad Balls with Bodies, and also that particular basketball themed motorcycle and the terrain upon which they are situated makes me feel like, is this some sort of post-apocalyptic world, and this is like a Mad Max scenario with mutants and stuff? Because that would actually kind of work. That would make sense with the Mad Balls,
Mad Max, Mad Balls. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what they should have done in the first place. The idea that I sort of like the idea that maybe they started out as other kinds of balls that got mutated, and like Screamin' Mimi is just starting.
Oh, so basically like the Ninja Turtles, except instead of mutating animals, they mutated balls.
Yeah.
That is actually pretty funny. Well, I
what was the thing that we watched where Defenders of Dynatron City, where the toolbox gets mutated into a superhero.
Oh yeah, I mean this feels very much like a British satire, like the sitting room wardrobe or whatever, but it could work, why not? Weirder things have happened than having balls mutate into mad balls. It's in the future of Mad Balls, there's only, oh my god, you know what? Yeah. Here's also, I just realized something. Yeah, make it post-apocalyptic, kind of roller derby type stuff. They compete.
Oh, yeah.
They compete in some sort of ball game, with their.
Maybe. Oh, what if a lot of the characters were bodies without heads, and they were trying to get their heads back?
Oh, you know what? I just realized. I think we're recreating that like Adult Swim show. One? Game Ballers or Ball Masters or
Ball Masters, yeah.
Is
that what was happening in that? I never watched that.
I mostly know it because like it had a chick in it who like got like a slight muffin top in one episode, But I mean,
just one episode. I mean, I've never seen her without it, so I can only assume.
Maybe it was a recurring thing. I honestly don't remember. It's been 100 years. I just remember it's one of those things that like because of my proclivities, like everyone on my friends list was like, check this out, and I kind of looked at it and was like, yeah, it's fine, but the thing is, by that point I had I was no longer. Here's the thing, by the time that ball kickers or whatever it was came out on Adult Swim, the Swim for Adults, I was no longer a child, and I no longer saw the world with a child's eyes. And I, when I was a child, I thought as a child, and I, saw the world as a child. But as an adult, I'm different. And the point that I'm making here is that like there was a time in my life when I was much younger and I was starved for any sort of fetish content, and if like a TV show had like there's like a character with a muffin top, you like you freeze frame it and be like, I gotta see that, oh man.
Yeah.
But by the time Ball Kickers comes out, I'm like, I live in the world of like the modern age, the world of the future, where all the pornography I could ever desire is a mere thumb punch away. Why should
I? And you yourself have made better than half of it.
Yes, exactly. Why should I grovel for crumbs from the television when I can feast on everything from the internet? It's like I don't need to like we gotta watch this one episode of Alf where like Mallory talks about going on a diet. I don't need to do that anymore. I can read a fan fiction of like 5,000 1,000,000,000 pages that goes into details about this exact thing. Anyway, so my point is, like, yeah, once Ballers was out, I was kind of like, yeah, it's fine. But I think the point was it was some sort of future a game where they fought and with balls. Like, I think the main guy in it was literally a flying ball, not the girl. The guy who had the voice of Master Shake was, I think, just literally a ball.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So it was something for ball fetishists.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I guess I could look it up on that aforementioned cornucopia of knowledge that we had. Let me look up whatever the game Ballers.
Ballmasters.
Ballmasters. Oh, thank you. Ballmasters. And I'm sure I'll find accurate information, not just shit from the AI. Never mind. They got shit from the AI.
Okay, instead, why don't you look at this? Here is an ad for one of Madball's competition. Scary Bouncing Ugly Balls.
Ooh, that sounds pretty scary. So let's see. What is the competition here?
Yes, here we have Bonkers Chewy Candy presents The Misadventures of Captain Clueless in Pursuit of Scary Bouncing Ugly Balls. And this green man in matching green pants with buccaneer boots and long hair is saying, I'll find them on cows' tails or inside the fruit of desert cacti or in whirlpools in the heart of the ganglion rainforest. Little does Captain Clueless know that ugly balls are free from Bonkers Chewy Candy. Meanwhile, back in another realm, ugly balls await your orders.
Wow, I'm glad that I can get ugly balls for free with Bonkers Chewy Candy, unlike Captain Clueless.
You have to buy 10 Bonkers labels? Man, I don't even remember how much Bonkers cost.
God, I mean, I don't think it could cost that much back in the day. I mean, gum was pretty cheap, but at the same time, I would not want to go for the effort of buying 10 gum labels. Why just go? I'm just going to go to the store and buy a fucking Madball.
Yeah, for real.
I don't need to do this, like, I don't need to play this game, you know? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have to buy candy and send away from. Who do you think I am? A 1930s street urchin selling grit? No, I don't do that shit. I go to the store and buy things when I want them because I'm an American. I love living in the land of plenty, and I love going to the store and knowing that anything I could possibly desire will be on the shelves, and there won't be any sort of weird artificial scarcity due to tariffs.
Yes.
Anyway, now to take a big sip of coffee and look at the news. Anyway, I'm not buying no Bonkers candy. Is Bonkers the thing where when you eat it, like a giant fruit falls on you?
Yes, and then you laugh yourself sick for whatever reason.
Oh man, I would love to be a Geraldine telephone operator and have that happen to me. I think.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly, I think that's what happened.
See, this is why the blueberry fetish has never appealed to me, because Bonkers, just spoiled me for it. It's like, if they're not falling on my head, then I'm not interested.
It would. That's true. Like, I feel like it would be very funny if, like, in Willy Wonka, that was just a thing they did where, like, oh, it's this gum. What happens if you take it? Well, a giant fruit just falls on you, and it's very funny.
It would be.
I mean, it's true. It would kind of make you go bonkers if you think about it.
Now, what happened if you take a Bonkers and a what's that other one? Shit, a Gusher at the same time? So would the fruit land on your head and then replace it, and you become a giant fruit head?
Oh yeah, that's geez, yeah. That would probably be what would happen.
What would happen to your regular head? It would become a mad ball. Oh my god!
It all fits together. We've cracked the code. Boy, I tell you, whenever I get bonked, I have a real gusher. So, I have mad balls tripping over these mad balls in a frenzy of dick play. That's what it's all about. It's the cat's ass.
Poop holds it where it is.
Oh boy! Oh, the kids are not going to get any of these, but
it's their own fault for being young.
Yeah.
If you missed Dysfunctional Family Circus, that's your own fault, youngie.
Yeah. Why weren't you born sooner, huh? Think about that. If you worked harder, you would have been born sooner. Stupid idiots! These goddamn Gen whatever they are now.
Yeah. You know what the problem is with these kids these days? They ask to be born, not like
Yeah.
us.
No, not like us. You know what else? Let me tell you what else is wrong with these kids today. Everything. Oh, I hate that they're so young, and also that yeah, that they're young pretty much.
Yeah.
They think there's. I'm gonna go and make up some moral panic about something now. They're probably drinking Tide pools or something. I don't know. That was a thing, wasn't it? People were mad about
Drinking Tide pools.
yeah. Oh, I mean, not pool pods. The Tide pools would be pretty. That'd be like great moral panic. Sorry, like the kids are going to the beach and they're drinking the Tide pools.
My kid came home and she had barnacles and a chitin coming out of her chin.
It's a real problem. The kids are really into these Tide pool parties now. All right. Well, I guess since we're not talking about Tide pools, we must have completed everything that can be said about Mad Balls. So,
Yeah.
I guess
Tide pools.
Tide pools, Mad Balls, Oy Vey. There's so yes. So I guess join us next week. We'll discuss some more Oy Vey Toy May.
Yay!